Howdy, and welcome back to Lane Change. I'm Keith Lane, and we're joined today by a very important and successful entrepreneur, Kevin Mathews. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. I say you're important because people who know you love you, and I know you're a fixture and a mainstay in this community. Walk us through at a very high level. For folks who don't know who you are, aren't familiar with your family, give us a story arc, if you would, of your career from college all the way up to the present.
Yep. So attended Texas A&M University, 2005 to 2009. 5 years on the football team. Walked on actually in 2005. Turned down some scholarship opportunities to essentially stay close to my wife that we had actually just started dating right before making that decision on where I wanted to end up in school, knowing that this was the woman that I was likely going to be spending the rest of my life with. And, we had only been about a month into our relationship, quite honestly.
Wow.
And I was unwilling to take some of my scholarship opportunities that would have put a little bit more distance between us. But anyways, like I said, played at A&M from 2005 to 2009, redshirted 2005 as a walk-on, earned a scholarship. Spring football, 2006, so right after the 2005 season, and ended up becoming the starting center. Played there for a couple of years. After college, there wasn't really a time where you could have told me in my life entirely that I wasn't going to go to the NFL, even though knowing now, looking back, that the odds are highly stacked against you. But so gave the NFL a shot. Ended up unfortunately being undrafted there as well, so I had to walk on twice, both in college and the NFL, and ended up playing 4 years in Tennessee with the Titans.
Oh, wow.
Actually had my dad coach me for a couple of years there on the offensive line.
That's special.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then played a fifth year with the Panthers the year before they went to the Super Bowl, but
just missed.
Yeah. Then ended up moving back to College Station.
Okay. And so again, for people who don't know your story, one thing I want to point out off the top, with this podcast, Lane Change, one of the things that I intend to talk about a lot are the framework in which decisions are made. Something that you just pointed out there very early in your life, and I can say this personally as a friend, I know that you make values-based decisions. Your wife, your family was a priority from the outset, has been a priority in everything you've done since then. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Really everything I do is to provide a lifestyle for my family that I deem acceptable. And it might not fall in line with everybody else. It might be lofty goals for some people, but for me, that's my standard, and I'm not looking to just make the standard. I'm looking to highly excel.
And I think that's so awesome because I think there are a lot of good, God-fearing people out there who are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to take care of their family. Yet in your situation, there's some really unique things here. I think some very applicable lessons that people can take away from, entering the NFL. You played high school football, you played college football, you took it to the highest level in the National Football League. But a person enters that career knowing that they're not going to do that for their whole life, right?
Yep.
And
right.
So walk us through, share with the audience, if you would, as a professional entering a craft, in that case, you knew that you weren't going to do that forever. How do you go about thinking about what's next, what's around the corner?
So, again, as we were discussing before we started recording, I think there was a bit of naivete. Is that the right way to say it? Naivete in that, where I didn't think that there was an option outside of making it to the NFL. And because of my background and my family members and kind of the careers that they had, I had maybe a little bit higher expectations for how long I would play.
Sure.
But yeah, NFL, National Football League, also not for long. I think the average NFL career is less than 2 years.
Wow.
You
doubled up the average.
Yeah. And so, when I got the opportunity, to sign as an undrafted free agent with the Titans. You know, I came into that situation the same way at A&M. You know, one of the first things I told my dad, before heading up to A&M my freshman year, he asked me, you know, what's your goal? I said, well, I'm going to earn a scholarship. And I think for him, he's thinking, you know, especially with his background, like, yeah, sure you are. You know, like, what are the odds of a walk-on earning a scholarship at a major, at the time, Big 12 program and sticking around? But again, it wasn't, you know, that wasn't an option for me. And the same thing with the NFL. You know, what's your goal? Well, I'm going to make this team and I'm going to hang around. And, you know, I wanted to become obviously the full-time starter and, you know, end up playing 10, 12 years and make 15, 20 million bucks and kind of sail off into the sunset. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But, you know, I certainly met my goals that I had for the NFL beyond the tenure that I wanted. But
so take us to Nashville towards the end of your career. You're playing with the Titans. You and your bride have 2 young children.
Yep.
And you at some point come to the realization, okay, I've got to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
Walk everybody through. First of all, what were your feelings? Were there butterflies? Was it fear? Was it confidence? What were you feeling? What were those conversations with your better half like? And then what did you do next?
So for me, it was kind of a point of sadness because in my eyes, I've been this football player, and I guess out the perspective for everybody, I've been this football player my entire life, you know, whether that's the middle school, high school, college, or NFL football player.
That had been your life to that point.
That had been my entire life. And my entire life with my dad and my grandfather and uncle and cousin and all of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I was having to come to the reality that this lifelong pursuit and dream of mine was coming to the end. And it was a very hard pill to swallow. I was, you know, my wife and I, like I said, we were living in Brentwood, just south of Nashville. Very, very happy living there. Loved living there. We were actually starting to look for homes when my tenure with the Titans came up, and we kind of made a decision. I could see the writing on the wall. I certainly wasn't willing to completely give up on the NFL.
Sure.
But I knew that we were going to have to get in a position where I could set myself up for success for the goals that I still had for myself and my family.
Sure. At that point, having no clue what the means to that end would be.
No idea at all. No idea at all.
And I should interject, I think that's a relevant point of reflection or emphasis for our audience, because I think there's a lot of people who they start into a career, regardless of what career it is, at what point they started. And early on, I think most of us can probably look back and say, okay, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, only to discover or have that realization at some point. Whether I have to go another direction or I realize I need to go another direction. Mm-hmm. That's where you were at this point, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So your playing days are done. You've made the decision. Let me just fast forward a little bit. Mm-hmm. You and your bride are moving to College Station with your kids because this is where you had gone to school. Mm-hmm. You said early on your vision for providing for your family has always been your top priority. Yet, concurrent with that priority, you have had a desire not to punch a time card, or you wanted to be your own boss. You wanted to get into entrepreneurship. Talk about that, what that inclination was for you, and what you found, and how you found it.
Yeah. So again, we're leaving Nashville with a big question mark bubble over our head. What's next? Again, hoping to set myself up for success with the next endeavor, whatever that was going to be. Quite honestly, I hadn't given anything but football a thought at any point until really the very end. So we ended up buying a home in College Station. I did end up playing one more year. I went and played with the Panthers for one more season. Okay. But at the whole time, even when I was with the Panthers, at that point I knew kind of the writing's on the wall. I'm going to play as long as I can. Hopefully things work out differently and I can keep going. But I knew that a change was going to be made. And like I said, I had 2 young sons. I had a wife at home, three people that I needed to provide for, and not just provide for in the sense where I needed to put a house over their head or a roof over their head and and provide meals, but I needed to provide this lifestyle that I deemed necessary, and that was going to be basically a high success level.
Sure.
So fast forward, we leave Nashville, buy this house. We're living in College Station. I finish up that last year with the Panthers, and my dad and I had started to discuss the opportunity of purchasing some investment rentals. The property that I lived in while I was attending A&M, both my brothers were in it. They were renting the bedrooms to some friends. That was going to come to an end. I had fortunately made a little bit of money playing in the NFL, and so we were going to start buying some rentals. I was going to become the property manager, so to speak, and ended up getting my real estate license with the idea that save a little money when I bought it, or make a little money when I bought, save a little money when I sold, get a little bit more insight into that, which eventually, fast forward a little bit, my two sons were at Christ United School for Little People. Jeff and Stephanie Leatherwood's kids were there. We ended up crossing paths with them. Inevitably, Jeff is doing exactly what I wanted to do, which was buying and selling investment real estate, except on an astronomically larger scale. And I've kind of always piggybacked on that success, right? So in the NFL, or in college, I backed up Cody Wallace, who was a 9-year NFL player, but like a 4-year starter at A&M. And my mindset was, well, these guys are having success. I'm going to do what they're doing. And so, brought that, intensity and mindset to the NFL or college, and then the same thing in the NFL. Followed a center, the starting center there. His name was Gene Amano. Followed him, copied what he did, had success with that, and then.
So I hear you saying the role of mentorship in your career has been a constant, regardless of what your career has been.
Yeah, certainly.
And the role of mentorship, stepping out of a more corporate environment into a more entrepreneurial environment. Again, you discern the necessity of a mentor.
Yeah.
So you're a real estate investment professional now, right?
Yeah.
And a general entrepreneur.
Sure. Yes.
Just talk to us briefly. A day in the life. What does the day in the life look like for you now?
So. So Jeff and we partnered up. I copied what he did, trying to get up to his level and get there eventually. But being a co-owner of Aggieland Properties, he owns more than me, so he still carries the say-so and all the weight. But it's a residential real estate brokerage with a sort of focus on investment rentals. We're also a full-service property management company. I think we're close to 850 doors. We'll pretty quickly surpass 1,000 doors.
Wow.
That's certainly been very successful. And now, stepping into the construction world, so to speak. We started Mattwood, a combination of Mathews, Leatherwood construction, which is mainly doing a lot of the maintenance for Aggieland Properties right now.
Sure.
Some light remodels, but that'll eventually take us to full vertical construction.
So how surprised, as you look back, and again, I want to be mindful of your time, but in the audience's time, but as you look back at your journey from blocking in the NFL to being a successful, diversified entrepreneur in your interest in what you do, what are the two or three things that jump off the page at you that looking back you did right? Where were the risks that you took? Again, articulate just as a recap the role that your wife played in both of your willingness to be comfortable with ambiguity, going from a set paycheck to a we're going to eat what we kill.
Yep.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So it's sort of the same thing, with the NFL, with the uncertainty. I guess looking back from it, from a normal perspective, the odds of making that work out were pretty low. But I think everything for me was mindset. There just wasn't going to be a chance where I wasn't going to be successful at what I was doing, and so quite honestly, I didn't think about what if this doesn't work, or what if this paycheck never comes. It was always a certainty to me, and I think that has to be your mindset, especially if you're going to step out and do something new, where you want to be the owner and the entrepreneur, and you want to make the decisions. You got to be willing to potentially sacrifice the comforts of the 9 to 5 or the guaranteed paycheck. And so for my wife and I, she knew I didn't want the traditional corporate life, the 9 to 5, wear a suit and tie, sit in a cubicle type lifestyle and career. So she always had my back and knew that I was going to be successful in whatever I did. She saw how I approached the NFL, knew I would take the same approach to whatever we did next. And then when it eventually became real estate, knew that we were going to be successful doing that.
You had found your calling.
That's right.
So in closing, if you would, if you were giving advice to your kids or to a family friend or even to members of the audience who are sitting there in a job where, again, maybe they're the right industry, wrong company, right company, wrong position, or maybe they're just looking for an entire lane change, an entirely different direction. What's the best advice as a successful entrepreneur who's walked that path that you would give to somebody sitting in that situation?
Well, you got to find something that you love, So if you're sitting at the office or dreading going to work every day, I can tell you I haven't dreaded going to work other than cut day where I was worried I might get cut. I haven't dreaded going to work a day in my life. Wow. I do what I like, and I make sure that I'm successful at it. So the mindset's everything. And, you got to be willing to step out in faith and do what you think is going to be best for you and your family. And
I'm guessing there was a lot of prayer in there along the way, huh?
A lot of prayer, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of conversations. But again, it was motivational conversations in a sense. Like, if there ever was a moment of doubt, it would be, why hasn't this happened faster? It was never, can we do this? Mm-hmm. So for us, it was just stay the course, have your goal in sight, and never give up on it.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you. You're an inspiration. You're a wonderful guy, and I'm blessed to call you a friend. And this community is blessed to have you as a part of this community, and your family's blessed to have such a wonderful person leading from the front. Let's put it that way.
Well, thank you. So, we truly enjoy living in College Station. I love raising my family here. I can't imagine being anywhere else now.
All right. Kevin, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. For folks, thank you for your time. And again, would ask you to give what we're talking about some thought. Take care. God bless. And don't forget to take a long, hard look at that blinker.